How would you describe your relationship?
I think we're very close. We could say anything to each other. I tend to know her a little bit better than she knows herself now since the stroke.
Yes. We're positive. We're
Optimists.
Yes, optimists. We tend to find the light of everything.
Go ahead, you're on a roll.
I don't know.
We try to take not everything so personal and so hard.
Yeah.
Was that something you had to learn after the stroke, or was it something that was natural?
I mean, it was natural because I was birthed from muscular dystrophy, so the challenge I face multiple years have given me a resilience to, like,
Not fall apart.
not fall apart because I have so many challenges when I could fall apart, but I lived, and the doctor told me that no one like me lived through the massive amount the stroke.
Tell me about the stroke's impact in the month immediate.
The month immediate means...
Right after it happened.
Okay,
What
so
were
right
the
after it
effects?
happened. So actually that was a little challenging for me because I'm also a nurse, and it was at my hospital, and it was actually the doctors in my department that had to take care of her. So from the very beginning part of it, I think I was still the nurse role and trying to make sure that everything that needed to be done was done. And the month, so we were in the hospital for a month, and then you went to rehabilitation for 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and then we came home. So I basically lived at the hospital.
Didn't sleep.
Yeah, I didn't leave that hospital for 28 days. I would come home to change my clothes and maybe sleep for an hour or two, and then I just went right back. Yeah.
Do you have a memory of your mom being by your side at that time?
Oh yeah. And my Aunt Jen and my Aunt Pat came down the first day. My mom told them about 6 o'clock in the morning.
Right, you had the stroke at 6, and Aunt Pat was here by 2, and Aunt Jen was here by 3:30 from New York.
Yeah, so they were great because my mom was stressed, and I can't blame her. I was stressed. And my Aunt Jen is a PA, so she's a bit chiller. She's a bit go-getter, so she was telling the nurses, telling doctors about me and about my, rehab. I want Courtney to go rehab. So they were so amazing to come out here that day that I had the stroke, and were there
For the next 2 weeks?
and my mom,
Yeah.
my mom didn't have to do it all herself.
How would you define a stroke to someone who doesn't know what it is?
I'm working on that. Because every person has a different stroke. So, I meet stroke survivors that, are able to move your hand, are able to walk. My muscular dystrophy doesn't let me to walk, so that's a challenge. My speech was my anxiety because I'm so talkative, and not speaking for a month was so challenging. And I tell people that, but they don't know, not talking, because it's an everyday thing, you know, talking. And I didn't talk, so.
Well, we used letters.
Yep.
What was that? O-R-E.
Yeah.
O-R-E for like a week, and we couldn't figure out what O-R-E meant, and all she wanted to do was just get rotated in the bed. And we spent 1 week on what O-R-E meant.
And flashcards.
But yeah, those were really helpful.
My best friend came here and worked on me flashcards, an hour each day. So a shock, it's a big adjustment to your life.
It impacts every aspect of
yes.
your life.
My mental health was great for
Pre-stroke.
pre-stroke, but now it's, you know,
You have a lot of anxiety.
yeah, a lot of anxiety, depression, not knowing what to do. My left brain died, so my right brain is working. But I was a left-brainer thinker pre-stroke, so I have to learn that. So it's challenging.
So is that literally what happened? Your left brain died?
Yeah.
Yep.
So basically a stroke is an interruption of the blood flow. And when you interrupt the blood flow, the tissues don't get the oxygen that it needs to survive, and that part of her brain died off.
During that month where you weren't able to speak, were you sure if you'd ever be able to again?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I didn't picture life not talking. It was my, power, because my limbs don't work. I'm in a wheelchair, but I'm an advocate for myself, through college, high school. So I'm like, I gotta talk again. I'm not, my mom's fine for advocating me, but, I'm willing and, I gotta talk. So I worked every day, and my friends and family, were there and test me with words. Say it again properly. That, So, yeah.
So there was never a doctor who said you'd be able to speak again. You just knew you'd be able to.
Yeah. There was a doctor, a few doctors that were negative, oh, she can't speak, blah, 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 her right side, never gonna move, but my right leg works, so my right arm is working, slowly but surely. So I want to prove them wrong, That's what I am.
What have you been most proud of your daughter for through this process?
Well, that she's telling me how she feels, which is not always easy. That she has her 15 minutes of being upset, but then she moves on. Right. Yeah. And the days where she really wanted to give up, she persisted, and she didn't give up. So I'm proud of her for that.
What has her strength taught you?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, that was for you, Mom.
Oh!
What has her strength and persistence taught you?
Strength and persistence taught me. I don't know. I've always rooted for the underdog, so I knew she was going to make it, and I knew she was going to get through this, and I knew we were going to have a lot of work ahead of us, but I knew with the right prodding and pushing, she was going to do it. She's a fighter, so I knew she wasn't going to give up, but she just needed the support to not give up sometimes.
Is there any type of social misconceptions you two have to battle against now?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Go for it.
The insurance companies, always.
Well, I think he's thinking more of like, because you had the stroke, what are your battles that people perceive? Like, well, a lot of it is your emotions. You didn't have all those big emotions
Oh, yeah.
beforehand, and now you do. So it's hard time for people to understand that it's not necessarily personally Courtney, but that the stroke dysregulates your emotions.
Yeah, so I
Um,
cry. Like, I don't know why I cry. My friends, like, why are you crying? Like, you never cried. You know, I got depressed last spring. I didn't go to, like, out of bed. I didn't go to out. And my friends, like, you're fine. But not mentally. Because my stroke added more, more complications, going out to the bars, movies. I didn't have a wheelchair that was portable, so I had to use a manual wheelchair, and, I don't want to.
You want to be as independent as possible.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And, some people are positive, some are negative, but, I have ones for positive, every day. I block out the negative energy. Books help me so much because I love learning, but I don't go to school. So audiobooks, Brene Brown, Gabby Bernstein, I read them nonstop. They're my Bible, because I want to know how to get my emotions, happening. Better control.
Could you tell me more about how the stroke deregulates the emotions?
Okay, so actually your brain is composed of the right side and the left side. And the left side deals with your speech, your learning, your emotions. So by her losing basically all the function of the left brain, she's now a right brain thinker. So therefore, she's very impulsive. She doesn't have a filter. She uses a lot of curse words now. Definitely much more emotional. And that's all coming from now your right side of the brain. So as we teach her new words and put her in all new environments, the neuroplasticity, which is the building blocks of your brain, are building back so that she'll be able to speak words more clearly. Mm-hmm. Spelling is still a challenge. We haven't worked on that part of the brain yet because it's just too much working on the speaking part of the brain. So until we really get the speaking part of the brain down, the spelling is coming along slowly. Mm-hmm. It also affects your mathematics. So trying to add or do any math. Well, that's
Directions.
Directions, right?
Yep.
Sense of direction. She lost that as well. So basically, she kind of lost everything that was the normal for her. And now she's having to learn more of right brain stuff, which she's not that familiar with. Yeah.
Can you tell me about the evening the doctor walked into the waiting room and told you that she experienced a stroke?
Actually, being the nurse, I actually diagnosed the stroke. So basically, I was leaving to go to work, and Courtney made a little gurgling sound, which was not typical for her. So I looked over at her and was trying to get her to answer me, and she couldn't answer me. So at that point, I also saw that the right side of her body was not moving. So I enacted the stroke protocol at the hospital that I work at. And then the stroke team came, and then I kind of directed them to do everything else, since I know everything else of what to do. So I basically, instead of them kind of telling me everything, I was telling them everything. And then once we did the CAT scan and they told me she had had a stroke, I asked them to give her a TPA, which is a clot dissolving medication that they give for within 3 to 6 hours of a new stroke. And what that job is supposed to do is go in there and basically, like Pac-Man, eat up all the blood clot. But her clot was so large that it started eating the clot, but it needed help to get the remainder of the clot removed. So I called my docs and told them to get to work now, and they did. And then she went to the interventional radiology place where they put a catheter in her groin, went up and sucked the clot out of her brain, which was really cool. And then from there she went to the ICU for a week. So actually what my docs were able to do is basically show me the before and after pictures, which are amazing. The before picture, basically if you picture a tree with all the branches, all the branches on the top were completely missing on Courtney's picture. Then after they removed the clot, you could see the branches starting to come back into the brain. Yeah, that was quite interesting. And then what was really interesting is I've been in the radiology field for 38 years, so I can read CAT scans without a problem. And like 3 months after the stroke, we went to visit the neurologist, and he put Courtney's CAT scan up on the screen, and basically the whole left side of her brain was what they call gray out. It was just all grayed out, which was so shocking to me. And I'm really glad I saw it then as opposed to when I originally saw it, because I think that if on the original part of me seeing it, I don't think I would have pushed her as hard as I did. So I'm really glad I got to see that at 3 months instead of